Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Gio. It's been a minute since I've been on here, but it's something I've been meaning to do is get back on here and make content, make some tutorials, put up some covers, you know, all this kind of stuff that I used to do on here. So, been a while, but it's good to be back. So let's just dive right into it. Today, what I wanted to go over is the easiest way to pitch 808s in Logic. There's a lot of different ways to do it. There's a lot of third-party plugins. There's a lot of even ways within Logic to do it. One of my favorite ways has always been to use Alchemy to pitch my 808s, to import the sample and do all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to go over that because Tony Holiday actually has a really, really good tutorial on how to do that. So if you want to look into using Alchemy to pitch and tune your 808s, go check out Tony Holiday. He's got a really good tutorial on how to do that. What I'm going to show you is actually something that's become my go-to way of doing it in Logic since about May, when Logic 10.5 came out and they introduced the new VSTs, the quick sampler. It's made it incredibly easy to tune and pitch your 808. So I'm gonna actually show you how to do that. So if we look at the project that we got going on right now, what I've got going is I've just got a basic little piano sample and I've got a basic drum pattern going on. And so we're just gonna put some 808s right on top of this. So we've got our drum pattern, we've got our 808, or not our 808, we've got our drum pattern and our sample. How do we now go in and make sure that our 808s are tuned to the right key here? So the way that I go about doing my 808s, first thing that we're gonna add is a VST, right? We're gonna add a software instrument. So we're gonna click on the plus button, we're gonna click on instrument and make sure that quick sampler is selected and mono is selected because we want our 808 to hit in mono. So we'll hit create. That's gonna add our instrument here. And now from here, you can load the audio file a few different ways. So first thing you could do is click on no audio file loaded, click on load audio file, and it will have you browse right through your Finder to look for your sample, and you can load it from here. You can also choose original versus optimized. This is super important. This is what makes this one of the best ways of using your 808s, but we'll come back to this because I actually don't like doing it this way. So we'll hit cancel. The other thing you could do is if you have your sample pulled up in Finder, you could just drag it into this box. Or personally, what I like to do is I like to open up the browser within Logic and navigate my samples this way. So we're going to use this 808, right? This 808.7, and I can click and drag this from here and drag it in. Now, what happens once we drag it on top of the window is we have the option to choose original. We have the option to choose optimized. For an 808, I'm going to use optimized. Now, the difference between the two, if we just drag into original, it keeps the sample exactly as it is. Original tuning, loudness, looping, length. It doesn't change anything. It's literally just loading that sample into the sampler. What optimized does is the little caption tells us it optimizes the tuning, which is super important for the 808. I'm going to show you what that does. Loudness, search for loop points, and then it crops out the silence. So if I were going to do it this way, we would drag it right into optimized. Now, what I like to do before we even load our sample in like that, we have the instrument right here. What I'm going to do is actually delete that. What I like to do is when I'm navigating these samples and I find that 808 that I like, I'm going to take that sample, click and drag it all the way into these track headers. And now it gives me the option to create a new track from here. And what I can do is just drag it right on top of Quick Sampler Optimized, and it loads it for me off the jump. So I don't have to worry about going into the plus button and creating a new VST and loading it in the right place and browsing and all that. If I've already found it from here, I can just drag it into the track header and create that from here. So that's my go-to, my preferred way of loading that. So why was it important to choose optimized? That's crucial when it comes to loading the quick samplers, to choose the optimized instance of it. The reason that becomes important is because once we load this 808, we have no idea, especially with, samples like this, where they pull up here and it says 808 and they're numbered, but it doesn't give us the note of the 808. Some sample packs do, some don't. So in the ones that don't, I have no idea what note that 808 is. Now, when we drag it into the quick sampler and we choose optimized, what we see is that it's analyzed and assigned the root key for us. So what this is telling us is this 808 was tuned to F, and the quick sampler in Logic assigned it to F, meaning that now when I go through and play the keyboard, making sure that's selected there. It's tuned properly. So when I hit a C on my keyboard, it's playing the C for the 808. If I hit an F on my keyboard, it's playing an F for the 808. So now we're tuned right. And that's the biggest piece of the battle, is making sure that's tuned properly. Now, there's a couple other things that I like to do when it comes to these 808s. Is I like to make them one shots. Now, you know, this is going to totally depend on the track. It's going to depend on the 808. It's going to depend on a lot of factors. But with something like this, I'll make it a one shot. So when I hit the keyboard, when I hit a key, you know, it rings out. That's the first thing. The second thing that I like to do is to turn flex mode on. Now, this is something that's pretty unique to the Quick Sampler in Logic. When we turn this flex mode on, which is right here, and we hit that button, I'm going to undo follow tempo. Now what happens is, typically with any kind of sample like this, if I hit the root note, which in this case is an F2, right, it plays it to its length. But now if I go way up, right, I jumped up a couple octaves there. What flex mode does is it maintains the original length and tempo of the sample. So even though it's pitched way up from the original, it maintains the length. Now, if I turn that off, it goes super quick. It speeds that up, which is what we're used to hearing. We're accustomed to hearing. But I like having that turned on. So now anywhere that I play on this keyboard, the length of the sample is intact, even though the pitch is changing. And then the last thing is to come in here to the polyphony and make that mono. Clearly, we don't really want two 808s hitting at the same time. So changing that to mono makes it so that, one, we're just hitting one 808 at a time. Two, the length of the 808 is intact. And three, now we've got it pitched properly so that we can play on the keyboard and match it up. So now if I go back and hit play here, I can start to play on my keyboard. And I know that this is in E minor. So I can just start playing on my keyboard along E minor and feel confident that it's going to play in key and sound right. And there it is. And that's really the easiest way, quickest way, and it becomes second nature, right? Once you know where all the buttons and you know all the parameters are within the plugin. Super quick, super easy way of going in there and pitching out your 808s. So hope you like that. Hope that's helpful. I know that it's really, really simple, but sometimes the most simple things are the things that kind of just fly right by and go unnoticed. So that's why I wanted to put this tutorial out. If that helps, let me know. Subscribe, hit that like button, and let me know what other questions you have. Let me know if this was helpful. If it's not, what else you'd like to do with your 808s, what other tutorials you might like. This is something that I'm really trying to get back into, is to be here on YouTube. So yeah, get on my socials at 1Gio Ramirez, spelled out ONE. I'll put that, you know, a bunch of places, description, all that kind of stuff, because that was probably a quicker way of getting to me on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. So cool. Catch y'all in the next one.